Elon Musk held his first DOGE meeting. This is the agency that's supposed to be tasked with cutting down on wasteful government spending. And when Republican representatives left, multiple of them talked about cutting Social Security and Medicaid. Marjorie Taylor Greene, when asked about it and shown flyers from the Trump campaign promising to defend Social Security and Medicaid, threw them on the ground. Now, this comes as a shock to a few people that I know that support Trump. Doesn't come as a shock to me because this is something that Elon Musk has wanted and has talked about for a while, and I view Elon Musk as the current shadow president. And I don't want you to just trust the things I talk about. Please look into it because I think things are going to get worse. They're going to get worse fast, and you should probably prepare, especially if you are living off of Social Security, if you have Medicaid, or if your family is dependent on a check of any sort from the government. If you are a veteran who needs to have VA benefits, I would pay heavy attention. Because Elon has his eye on all of it. Now, right here he says, your elected representatives have heard you, and now the terrible bill is dead. The voice of the people has triumphed. Vox Populi, Vox DEI. Now, you see, it isn't the voice of the people, it's the voice of Elon Musk. The terrible bill, as he calls it, is the continuing resolution that would give aid to farmers. The funding to help the people of disaster areas like the hurricane victims in North Carolina that got delayed by Mike Johnson previously because it'll just be in this CR. That's the payment, the money, the help that is in this, as he calls it, a terrible bill. This is the bill that funds our troops. This is the bill that funds America. Now, Elon Musk, this bill is supported by Republicans. It's made by Republicans, but he didn't like it. He demanded it not be done. He threatened to primary anyone who voted for it. And contacted Donald Trump, and Donald Trump made a statement too. Interestingly, only after Elon. A statement from President Donald J. Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. So this is not a direct statement from Trump. This is on their behalf. Not really helping the shadow president allegations. The most foolish and inept thing ever done by congressional Republicans was allowing our country to hit the debt ceiling in 2025. It was a mistake and is now something that must be addressed. So the reason that we have CRs instead of just a longer funding bill is Republicans couldn't figure out how to fund the government without going against their own promises because the cuts they promised and wanted cannot actually happen without damaging America, possibly in an irrecoverable way. Put it bluntly, a lot of what they promised they would do is just not possible, and the hope is to kick the can down the line, allow the Democrats to take over, the Democrats pass a budget, and then you can blame the Democrats for the spending that was always going to happen. Now, let's continue. Meanwhile, Congress is considering a spending bill that would give sweetheart provisions for government censors and for Liz Cheney. The bill would make it easier to hide the records of the corrupt January 6th committee, which accomplished nothing for the American people and hid security failures that happened that day. The bill would also give Congress a pay increase while many Americans are struggling this Christmas. So, I've read the bill, parts of the bill that he's specifically referencing here. From my understanding, if you are a member of the House or you work for the House, if something is protected for like operations of the House, like it's a security concern for it to be public, you can go to a judge, explain that, and they can block you being forced to testify. Nothing specifically about January 6th or anything like that, but that is the phrasing that Elon Musk went to on Twitter. Sounds like Elon. And of course, the pay increase while Americans are struggling this Christmas. Remember, this is a bill that means that all of those American workers that work for the government, the military, anyone that works as a contractor, anyone that works in the national parks, anyone who works in a different business, but their customers do things for the government, all of them are getting a nice present this Christmas of the money's gone. A week before Christmas. Yeah, the pay increase to Congress is tone deaf, but so is pretending that these people aren't going to suffer. But Elon Musk has made it clear that, there will be suffering in the short term. He's talked about that. And don't worry, the Dow was only down 1,000 points since Elon started talking about his plans for the government and spending, and Donald Trump started copying it. It's just a massive crash that's continuing to happen. Don't worry about it. And this next part is something that you should never say. Increasing the debt ceiling is not great, but we'd rather do it on Biden's watch. Why? Remember how I said they want to kick the can down the road and blame it on the Democrats? This is an admission of that. This is him saying that's what they do, right? You don't say that. You don't say this part out loud, but Elon doesn't care. If Democrats won't cooperate on the debt ceiling now, what makes anyone think they would do it in June during our administration? Again, this is a Republican bill. Republicans control the House. They could put a bill forward. They're stopping it. At no point can the Democrats involved yet. The Republicans can make the bill, pass the bill in the House right now. Let's have this debate now. So you see, in June, in his administration, Republicans will have the House, and they'll have the Senate, and they'll have the presidency. They'll have everything. Again, basically, the Republicans don't know how to make a bill, because any bill they do come up with is going to be bad for America, and they want to blame the debt increase on the Democrats, and then any harm, because it's not actually funding everything it needs to fund, they want to blame the harm on the Democrats too. And we should pass a streamlined spending bill that doesn't give Chuck Schumer and the Democrats everything they want. No explanation of that. I mean, what? Infrastructure? Repairing bridges? Things like that? I've seen those mentioned as pork. Because, American infrastructure is doing great right now. Republicans want to support our farmers. This literally stops support for farmers. Pay for disaster relief. This literally is stopping that. And set up our country for success in 2025. Again, this is stopping that. The only way to do that is with a temporary funding bill without Democrat giveaways, combined with an increase in debt ceiling. Anything else is a betrayal of our country. Now, you might be saying, if all of this is bad for America, in the long term, short term, whatever, why would anyone do it, right? And there's a reason people go, well, why does the debt ceiling keep going up? Because America always pays its debts. It makes the dollar have a significant amount of power and value on the international stage. And countries, America having debt, whether you like it or not, to another country, makes that country less likely to do things to upset America. Because then what if we don't pay that? Or what if we don't borrow more? It's a power dynamic. And if you don't pay your debts, if America cannot pay its debts, which with a shutdown, we do what's called like extraordinary measures trying to keep paying the debts. If we ever fail, which we never have as a nation, the dollar could be irreparably damaged as a currency internationally. And that's why it always never happens, because you're screwed if you're in America and you're stuck in America. But you see, shadow President Elon Musk, you have to remember that this is a man who was originally from South Africa. His family's from South Africa, who then moved to Canada. And then they became illegal immigrants into America. By his own family's admission, they were illegal immigrants and started a business while being an illegal immigrant. And now he has enough money that he can basically buy himself citizenship to another country and sell off things like technology, sell off assets that are physical, sell off trademarks, sell off intellectual property. And I mean, if he gets control of certain aspects of the government, certain places would pay high dollar for that too, right? And that's why I mentioned that I view him as the shadow president, because we are kind of at an unprecedented time where the president has somewhat of the best interests of America always at heart, a little bit, because everything they know and love is tied to the country. But if Elon is getting his way, he doesn't actually care. He can just go to another country and live a great life. In fact, so could Donald Trump. And you might say, that doesn't happen. I would like you to think about Brexit. If you don't know what Brexit is, very simply, it was the UK leaving the EU. And it was going to completely destroy so many jobs and connections, and it was going to be bad. And it was going to get bad slowly over time, year after year. More and more things were going to separate, and it was known to be bad. Bad for the citizens, bad for the country. Europe just kind of, it doesn't really affect Europe as a whole. And what happened after that party got their way? Multiple members of it resigned and moved abroad. If your livelihood is involving the government, Social Security, Medicaid, VA benefits, I'm warning you to be prepared. Because if you aren't, it could be too late. I would work on a little savings. I would try to get any healthcare issues you have finished as quick as possible. If you can rush anything, if you can get a checkup, I'd do it. Because you might say, oh, well, they might cause issues. It might have issues, but let's say a year, 2 years after, it'll be good. When it comes to things like money and health, most people don't have a couple years to try to figure things out. I've filmed this a couple times, right? I really have. Just trying to get what I wanted to say out there, because I know I have a lot of new viewers and a lot of them don't like the political stuff, but this is more of a warning, right? Because even if you have trust and belief in Donald Trump, you shouldn't trust this man. And Donald Trump is trusting this man. This man has his own best interest in mind at any given time. And he is known to disrupt things and make things worse purely for his own enjoyment. Be careful out there. We're going into a holiday season, and a lot of things are unsure.